one of the main places where I spend a huge chunk of my time is on a plain online Word document or a Google document. Well, if you're not a programmer, I'm willing to bet that a lot of your time ends up going into creating documents. In this video, I want to compare three of the top online free word processors. Now, why even bother thinking about documents? Well, here's the thing. I truly feel that the tools you work on can affect the kind of outcome you produce, either in terms of quantity or quality of the output. And it's really important to be mindful of this decision before you jump into something just for the sake of it. So, in this video, we'll be comparing the online Office suite by Microsoft, Zoho Writer, which I'm sure a lot of you people may have not heard of, and finally Google Docs, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard of. Starting off, when you log in to Office, you need a simple Outlook account or a free Office account, and then you click on New Blank Document, and it immediately takes a few seconds and launches a blank document. Now, this is the stripped down version of the offline Word. Keep in mind that I'm not talking about the offline Word in this video, that will be covered in a separate video. I'm only talking about the online Word. Similar to the offline Word, you have your functionality ribbon here with all the different features, elements, functions which you can perform on your document. And then of course you have your document here. These are some of the text formatting tools. Next, you have ability to insert pictures, tables, etc. You can create different layouts, change the size of your document from A4 to anything else. You can indent left, indent right, add references, for instance, table of content, footnotes, some search references, view the document, which is basically getting into the review mode and adding comments and things like that. View the document in various different views which Word has created, and of course the help section. On the extreme right, you have the ability to click on share, and from share you can share this particular document with anyone you want. Anyone with the link can edit, for example. You can send them and they can start editing it, or you can give them a view only access, so don't allow editing. Now next, when it opens in review mode only, it automatically gets into this review mode when someone else tries to access this document. And of course you have the ever present file button, which gets into various different functionality like export, save as, print, etc. This does look quite similar to the offline Word as well, but it's sort of a stripped down version. Next, let me give you a quick overview of Zoho Writer. So Zoho Writer, this is what it looks like. You can create a new document by clicking on create new blank document. It opens in a new tab. Now this is slightly different. You just have the title over here, compose and share buttons on the top right, and you have an entire blank piece of document right here. So you'll be like, Nikhil, where are the functions? Where are formatting tools? Where are the layout tools? Well, this top left 3/menu button, when you click on it, it opens all the different functionality which you will be using on a day-to-day basis. So you can format, you can insert, you can create fields, and I'll talk about this a little bit later. You can design your page, your theme, you can change your page setup, you can get into different views, have access to different tools, and it has some extensions, although I'll talk about this a little bit later. This is a quick overview of Zoho Writer. Zoho, by the way, is an Indian company, so they have been around for quite some time. They're known for their Zoho CRM software, and they have this quite interesting word processor as well. A thing to note here, in the bottom ribbon, you of course have access to language, words, characters, page, and some other changes like getting into the night mode, which I really like. Okay, moving on, Google Docs, which I'm sure a lot of you will be using. I hope you are using. When you launch docs.google.com, you click on the plus button and it immediately creates a new document. The layout is very similar to Word. You have your text formatting ribbon here, and you have various different functions right here. So insert, format, tools, extensions, etc. Apart from that, when you want to see the word count, you can click on tools and click on word count. And you can display word count while typing. So you have the word count right here always. So this is one difference between Google Docs Writer and Word, which is in Word and in Zoho Writer, you always have the word count available. In Google Docs, you have to show it and see various different counts which Google Docs is maintaining. Next, I want to talk about the look and feel of the particular software. So, Microsoft Word pretty much borrows heavily from its offline Word application. The color scheme, the layout, the font scheme is very similar to that. It gives me a feeling that I'm using Word. It makes me feel comfortable. Google Docs, on the other hand, has a very, very minimal look and feel. It doesn't feel like it's a powerful word processor, which it is, but it gives you a very minimal look and feel, focuses on your content. There's very little distractions going on, and I prefer you. I like it because of that. And Zoho Writer, of course, has removed everything other than the word count and has even hidden the menu under a particular menu button. So this is the overall look and feel. For me personally, I just love the way Google Doc looks. That minimal look and feel is something which just makes me feel more and more productive. It's important you pick a word processor which you like how it looks and feels, because you'll be spending a lot of time here, and if you don't like it, you know, it'll you'll just get bored and you'll probably not do as much work as you can. Next, let's talk about speed. Now, speed is extremely important because I use various devices. What I'm recording right now is on an M1 Mac Mini, but I have a Chromebook on which I do a chunk of my writing. And for that, Chromebook is a very light machine. It barely has a proper processor. It has a mobile processor. It has just 4 GB of RAM, and it's a relatively inexpensive laptop. So when I think about it from that standpoint, right, speed is an important criteria for me because I want whatever processor I use to handle work across devices quickly. I never want to feel bogged down by my software. So what I've done is I've installed a page inspector plugin, and let me just quickly run it. What it does is it tells you how long it takes for a page to load, how many elements it's loading, etc. And according to this, the page load time for Word is 11.28 seconds. Now keep this in mind that this varies a lot, depends on your internet speed, depends on your laptop speed, on your Mac speed. So keep that in mind. But for me, this is how long Word takes. Now let me show you how long Google Docs takes. Google Docs takes about 1.01 seconds. Let me show you how long the Zoho Writer takes. That takes about 1.46 seconds. Now, if that tells you anything, it basically tells you that the word processor, the online word processor, is an extremely heavy application. 12 seconds to load a word processor is just not going to cut it. This is especially when it's a blank document. There's no content added here. And my only guess is that they didn't design online Word completely ground up. I think they ended up taking a lot of the desktop elements and trying to tweak that for online. Whereas Google Docs was always designed to be online first, and it feels snappy and responsive. Any function you try to do, anything you try to add across devices, no matter the configuration of the device, it feels really, really snappy. And that's really important for me, especially when you're writing. You don't want to get distracted. You don't want to think about speed. It has to just open and it has to be there. And Zoho Writer, I have had a mixed experience. Occasionally it loads really fast, occasionally it doesn't. And my suggestion is, if speed is a priority for you like it is for me, please go for Google Docs. It is ridiculously fast. It handles big documents really, really fast, especially online. It was designed to work on Chrome. It was designed to work on a browser. And this is true across browser. Even when I open it on Safari or Firefox, it always works the same. The Word Online is a heavy application. When you're switching between functions, when you're adding elements, images, etc., it tends to take longer to get that small function done. And I think over time that gets very irritating and you feel like you don't want to work on it, and maybe you'll end up using the offline Word. I suspect that Microsoft may have done this purposely to push people to use offline Word, but I'm not sure about that, so just keep that in mind. But in terms of speed, I've always felt that Google Docs is just extremely snappy and responsive. Next, let's talk about templates. Now with templates, this is something which can really help out. Say for instance, I click on File, New, and I have this option which says From Template Gallery. So when I click on that, it gives me a ton of different templates, from resumes to letters, uh, to proposals, to some sort of sales codes, to legal agreements, education, whatever it is. Now, these templates are really cool, but with Google Docs online, it's only an online application. You cannot add your personal templates, your own templates, unless you have the paid Google Workspace plan. And we're going to cover about Google Workspace in a future video, so make sure you hit subscribe button. But you cannot add your own personal templates in this. So please keep that in mind. You have to use one of their pre-built templates. It's the same thing with Word. When I click on File, New, it gives me some very few templates over here, some sort of open flyer, report, event flyer, etc. And that's about it. You can't open your own templates. You can't create your own templates. Whereas when I go to Writer, I can create my own templates. So this is a small advantage here, where Google Docs and Microsoft Word have restricted this function just for their paid users. Zoho Writer has given this for free. So I can have a lot of preset templates. It can be a rental agreement, which I have got it done once from a lawyer and I just changed the name, or things like that. So Zoho Writer has the template functionality, and I use the template functionality a lot. And of course, they have a lot of different public templates as well. And the best part is, I think they have the largest library of different templates. I'm sure you're not going to use all of them, but hey, it's nice to have. Next, let's talk about a feature which is extremely important for me, which is collaboration. Every time I work on a document, inevitably I end up sending it to my brother, who's a lawyer and who's a very good writer, or I end up sending it to my partners in my business, where we end up converting that document into a business document or whatnot. And I feel in this collaboration regard, Google Docs just takes the cake. Share, I add the email ID of the person. So in this case, so say I'm adding Arun. Hey Arun, what's up? Hope you're good. And then next to it, I can change it from editor to commenter to viewer. So an editor can make changes in the document. A commenter can just select specific sections and comment on them. And a viewer can just see the contents of the document. I can leave a message, so it goes with some sort of a message, and I can notify them, so they actually get an email notification. Now, why do I like Google's sharing functionality so much? From day one, it was designed to work in a collaborative way. So anytime you have 4, 5, 6 people working on a document, it does not affect the speed of the document. Most people have Google accounts because they end up having an Android phone, or they inevitably have to create a Google account because, say, they use YouTube or whatever it is. And everyone, I'm able to get access to their Google account irrespective of where they are, who they are, whatever it is. They just have the account and I can share it to them immediately. Commenting is also extremely easy. I just select it, I can add a comment, and that's it. Now when I comment on this, I can tag him and I can tell him that please look into this. This actually goes as an open task to Arun, where he has to resolve it. And I really love this. So let me add some more text. So again, I select it. I can even just leave an emoji reaction to this, right, as an appreciation or something. And also say I want to just suggest a change. So I just click on suggest edit, and I can tell that, so I don't like this. Can you replace this with change it here? And the best part is, every time I suggest a change and every time I add someone else, they get notified instantly, and the notifications are maintained on the same thread. It's not like they keep getting newer and newer notifications. And because of that, collaboration is extremely fast, extremely easy. I'll just get back to the editing mode. And I feel Google Docs they nailed it from day one. They pitched Google Docs as a collaborative tool, and I absolutely love it. Now let's talk about Word. Now, Word has also tried to add a lot of collaboration features, and it does work, but it's a bit weird. And I know I'm not making a lot of sense here, but for whatever reason, One is I didn't like the sharing window. It's not straightforward. I feel like they've given this pencil, can edit, can't edit. Say I just want comments from someone. I'm not sure what I am supposed to select. Then change to anyone with link. Change to specific people. Allow editing. I mean, probably because I come from having used Google Docs so much, but the user flow I didn't really like, and I feel it's really vague. Like I want to add someone who can just view but can't comment. I want to add someone who can just view, or I want someone to be able to make changes. This is the right classification in my opinion, but with Word it's not clear. It's always a bit weird, you know, what exactly should I be sending to people. And then you'll be like, okay, what is review mode? Not everyone knows review mode, unless of course you're a user of Word, right? And the only logical conclusion I could come up with was why they have not done a great job with collaboration and all is, again, I think that support for offline office was extremely important for Word, and it was not an online only software. Because of that, I think there are so the first thing is the sharing window is very strange, but the second thing is I just feel always that it's not as responsive as Google Docs, and that is it gets very frustrating, especially when you're collaborating on a document. And I am sure they made this decision because they had to support offline office as well, which is a very big market. So I don't know, it's a bit strange, and let's leave it at that. Now, talking about Zoho Writer, they do have sharing functionality. So again, I mean, you need to make sure that your document has a name, but over here it's actually as simple as Google Docs, but you need to have a Zoho account, and not everyone has a Zoho account. Zoho is not such a well-known company compared to Google or Microsoft. So I liked that they were able to give me these even more clearly. Like when I add a person, they can read only, read or comment, read or write, co-owner, and read or fill. And read or fill is something where you can create a form in the document and send it to them and get them to fill, and I'll show that to you a little bit later. But this is nice. The issue with Writer is that not everyone knows Zoho. I wish they did. I wish everyone had a Zoho account. They're an amazing company. You should check them out if you haven't. But because not everyone has Zoho, it becomes a challenge. That's where, you know, Google Docs just takes the cake, even with collaboration. Speed and collaboration is something which they've done a tremendous job. So moving on to the next part, which is extensions. Now you'll be like, okay, Nikhil, what are extensions? Well, any software which you use when you can add additional functionality to it, that's an extension. A third party has created some piece of software, like math type, for example, allows you to write mathematics equation, or lucid chart allows you to import some amazing charts. Google Translate allows you to translate right within the particular application. There's various such extensions which are available on Google Docs. I specifically have used one where anytime someone fills a form, a new document with the information about whatever was filled in that form as a clear, well presented document is created. I use that using one of the extensions. I'll try to find it. And I really liked, you know, how well it worked. With Microsoft Word also, there are a lot of extensions. So to access extensions, you have to click on insert and then you have to click on add-ins. And over here, they have various different extensions, very similar to Google Docs. Zoho Writer has support for extensions, but I have not been able to find any extensions. So Zoho folks, if you guys, I mean, can you please tell me where your extensions are for the personal account? I'd be glad to moving on. So now who takes the cake here? Unfortunately, there's a very difficult answer for me because it depends on what kind of extensions you're planning to use. I must say though that extensions have been around in Google Docs for quite some time, and I have found most extensions which I need in Google Docs relatively easily. So I would give it to Google Docs. Microsoft, I really haven't. I found a lot of extension for offline Word. I'm not sure how well the online extensions work. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about it. Next, let's talk about working on large documents. Now, if I was comparing with Word offline, by default, I would have given that award to Word offline, because Word absolutely has an incredible offline document, like management of large documents, like 300, 400 page documents. But online, their web app is pathetic when it comes to handling very large documents. I feel it becomes slow, it will takes time to load, it's not as responsive. Navigation wise, I keep jumping up and down. I will say this: if you do end up working with a lot of large documents, I wouldn't suggest any one of these three, for the simple fact that, well, in a web app you will inevitably have some limitations. I would suggest using an offline word processor itself, and my suggestion would be offline word, not online word. No way online word. If you had to choose between these three, I would actually give it to Google Docs again, because I think uh, they handle large documents as well as any other software. It's just that there may be a limitation with the machine which you use when it comes to very large softwares. Like if you just have 4 GB RAM or so, it will become a bit slower, unfortunately. Now, working across devices, all three softwares, which is Word, Docs, and Writer, have mobile apps across all devices: Android, iOS, Linux, whatever it is. But the offline application of Google Docs is what I found to be the fastest and most responsive, which will actually make you use it. Next, let's talk about import and export. So, in this, the way it works is the ability to open or import different file formats and then export into different file formats. So, for instance, download as all these different file formats. So, over here, I think Writer has done a tremendous job. The ability to import a lot of different file formats, but also to import from different cloud drives, like from Google Drive, OneDrive, Dropbox, whatever it is, right? That really makes this application accessible across all platforms or other cloud storage websites much better. Whereas when you go to Drive, you can open from Google Drive, you can import some .docs files, but you can't import all of them. And I think over here, Writer has done a tremendous job. Also, download as, I think Writer has given a lot more functionality, being able to download it as various different versions, distribute it as various different functions, and ability to post to the blog directly, either a WordPress blog or a Blogger blog directly. Also, adding signing functionality inbuilt right into it. You don't have to install another extension, it's right here. So, because of this, from an import export perspective, I think Writer has done a tremendous job. Word only focuses on the Microsoft file formats. Export is also only into PowerPoint or a normal Word. I didn't like it much, didn't have a lot of functionality when it comes to, exporting to various different versions. So, Writer takes the cake for me here, and Google is a close second, where they do have most of the features. But I think some of the other things which Zoho Writer has done, I would give it to them. Moving on to dictation and grammar. So let me give you a very quick demo. I click on tools and I click on voice typing. And over here I can change the accent. So I will be speaking in English India. And this is a test of the voice typing functionality of Google Docs. I am trying to figure out if it is able to keep up with me and properly transcribe what I am saying. I mean, I feel Google Docs has done a tremendous job with its voice typing, and I can understand completely. There's so many devices on Android devices which are capturing and improving the Google algorithms. But the voice typing of Google is amazing. Microsoft supports voice typing, and let me just give you a quick demo of that. So on Microsoft, you have to click on Dictate. I am trying to use the Microsoft voice typing functionality, and I'm trying to see if it can keep up as well as Google Docs does. So even the Microsoft functionality works quite well. However, I have found that for certain Indian words, I am from India, Google Docs does a much better job. Apart from that, it did a pretty good job. Now, Zoho Writer supports no voice typing at all, so just keep that in mind. If you're someone who writes documents by speaking into a mic or by talking it loud, I would suggest going for either Google Docs or Microsoft. Both of them work really well. I want to highlight some of the features from Zoho Writer here, which I really, really liked. So, first thing is when I go to fields, okay, I can actually create a fillable field. A fillable field is me creating a form similar to your Google form, but in the document view. So Google form, for example, looks like a Google form, but in this case, I can have formatting around it. And then this entire document, I can share the link of this particular form as a fillable document where people can click and start filling it. And I find this really, really cool. I think that Zoho Writer has done a nice job. If you guys want to create a good looking document instead of the normal Google form or something like that, this allows you to create that. The next thing I want to show here is the ability to work with mail merge right inside of the document. Import a database, my ability to, you know, so do you see here? I can import fields, I can import a CSV file, a Zoho Sheet file, a JSON file from Zoho Forms and Zoho CRM. These are some of their applications. And this can allow me to create a very nice mail merged document. And I can choose different ways of scheduling it, triggering it, etc. Converting this from a normal Word document into a smart document. Now, functionality like this is available on Word and Google, but it's through different applications. Over here, and a lot of those applications are paid applications. Over here, this is the free version which you get with a personal account, and it has given you all these features. So this allows you to, really create some really, really interesting smart documents. Now, if you guys want to know in a separate video how you can create some of these smart documents, let me know in the comment section below. I'll love to cover it. But here's the thing, two parts. One is ability to create a form. Second is ability to use mail merge, which is functionality restricted to only Office offline. It's still not there on Google Docs. It's available through some tools, but those tools are paid and all that stuff. My ability to request signatures on the document right inside the application. I have to create a Zoho Sign account, which is free. I can collect signatures as well from people. It goes to their mail ID and they can digitally sign it and send it back to me. Again, this functionality is available on Google Docs and Word, but you have to pay for different softwares and extensions and things like that. So I really like some of these additional features which Zoho has done. Word, the online Word is nerfed, if that's the right word. I don't know, so much functionality is missing compared to offline Word, and I think it's just Microsoft's strategy to push you to use offline Word. I think they think of online Word as just a reviewing tool, not necessarily a creation tool. Google Docs, of course, has all the basics. A lot of the other features are enabled through tools, but if I had to give the cake to the most features, I would give it to Zoho Writer. So in conclusion, if you're planning to create simple documents, I would suggest just use Google Docs. I'm sure you'll have a Gmail account. You're watching this on YouTube, you'll have a YouTube account. So by default, you have a free Google Docs account. You can use that, and it works really well on your phone. It works well on laptop. It works well even on devices which are very low spec. If you need to do some additional work like mail merge and create some fillable documents, I would suggest checking out Zoho Writer. It's a pretty good full-fledged Word document or word processor. But if you're planning to use Office Online, please don't use it for anything other than review work, which is just checking documents and quickly giving some comments or feedback. In terms of creation, I think Microsoft, it's just a more dumbed down version of Google Docs, guys. Like, I would go to Google Docs instead of using Office Online because I think it's just a lot better. But also, Office Offline itself is so much better as a piece of software compared to Office Online. And I think they nerfed it deliberately to get people to pay for Microsoft Office offline. So just keep that in mind. That's how I would think. I personally use Google Docs a lot. Probably all my scripts are created on Google Docs. Most of my work happens on Google Docs, and I love it a lot. It's extremely fast. I also am a paid Google Workspace user. So my company also uses Google Docs. And anytime I start a new company, the first thing I do is I take up a Google Docs subscription, a Google Workspace subscription. So that's what my personal choice is. I have used Zoho Writer for mail merge and creating fillable forms. My previous company, I used to run a custom manufacturing platform. So our work orders, we had used Zoho Writer a little bit to help create some of these documents. So that's what I would say. The work order documents, if they're fillable forms. So that's my thoughts on comparing these three. Which software do you use? Please let me know in the comment section below. I hope you like this video. If you did, don't forget to share it with someone else. I also have another video for you to help you keep track of your time and beat traffic. If you want to check that out, where it can help you become more productive, then I'll link it right here. Thank you all for watching, guys. See you in my next video.